If an owner responds to a fan's email and then that fan posts it online, did the email really leak?
Is it that real? Is it real?
That's 100% real.
Yeah, it leaked.
I won't say that's a leak.
You want to? Why not?
Because, well, we should give the backstory here. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, coming to you on a Tuesday night where we're talking about Joe Lacob responding to a fan's email. And don't worry, I can see people in the chat already being like, we're talking about this. We're not going to talk the entire time about this. But just to give you the backstory here, and is Joe Lacob's email just simply joe.lacob@warriors.com? Like, how did this fan email Joe Lacob? Anyway.
Right.
So this guy, Josh, right? Yeah, I think it's Josh. Justin emailed Joe Lacob saying, Dear Joe, please do something about this team. What's Steph need to do every night to win? Drop 50 points? Team is need a real second option. Jimmy's tools are being underutilized because he is playing as a power forward due to the small position players. We have no true center. I am so frustrated. Justin. Then Joe Lacob responds, you can't be as frustrated as me. I'm working on it.
Hang on. Whoa. Please do it in your Joe Lacob voice.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you're right. You can't be as frustrated as me. I'm working on it. It's complicated. Style of play. Coach's desires regarding players. League trends. Jimmy is not the problem. Joe.
Perfect. I think that's exactly how he typed it, too. That quick.
Yeah. Your reaction to this, and then Steve had to talk about it today. Thoughts?
I don't have any. I think Warriors fans are out of their minds, is my thought. I don't know. I'm back to getting tired of this, where I can't go on social media game after game anymore.
Nope.
Where it's like keeping up live with it. It's all too much, you know? It's a lot of people who, especially that fan, it feels like I understand where the frustration comes from, but it also feels disrespectful just to send the owner a direct email. And I think that sets a bad precedent for Lacob. I really do. Not in how he's viewed as an owner, not in whether this taints his legacy potentially as one of the great executives in Bay Area history, but just the fact that he's responding to an email. It's really got like athletes responding to fans on Twitter vibes.
Like KD?
Like KD, except KD like loves doing that.
Yeah.
It just feels like it sets a bad precedent in that, I don't know, you shouldn't be able to just message an owner like that and the owner just get straight back to you. Although I almost like the transparency. It's I'm kind of mixed, I guess.
Well, I don't mind it. Like, I think Mark Cuban, literally his email from back in the day when he was Mavericks owner was just mark.cuban@mavericks.com.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Lacob must get these emails all the time. And why he felt the need to respond to this one in particular, I do not know. But I don't mind that he responded to the email. I don't like what is said in the email where he basically is undermining Steve Kerr, saying, I'm working on it. It's complicated. Style of play, coach's desires regarding players. To me, that's him saying he doesn't like Kuminga. I do like Kuminga. Right. We know how Joe Lacob, look, Joe Lacob's been a great owner for the Warriors, but also, I'll be completely honest, he hasn't been my cup of tea as far as basically
how involved he is.
But he's not like Jerry Jones. I shouldn't say he's a meddling owner in that regard. He's not as vocal as these other owners.
Well, he's not like the owner, operator, general manager, player, coach like Jerry Jones is.
Exactly. So he's not doing press conferences after every win or loss. He's not taking credit for the victories either. But he definitely forced Bob Myers out, and not by his doing, just because he's so annoying with the way that you could see that dynamic when Bob Myers was doing his press conference and he was just laughing at everything that Joe Lacob said. It was basically being like, there's a reason why I'm leaving. It's because of this guy. And I think why Steve Kerr hasn't signed a multi-year deal is because of Joe Lacob. I truly believe that he would love to coach Steph Curry until his career ends. But he doesn't want to because the owner gets in the way. All this Kuminga stuff is because of this guy. I'm sure Mike Dunleavy Jr. would sign off on a trade. I'm sure Steve Kerr would sign off on a trade. we'll see what happens January 15th. I know Steve Kerr has talked openly about it, and some of the players have too. But I'm sure Joe Lacob's like, nope, I got my own scouting report on Jonathan Kuminga. He should stay. I'm not trading away CJ. I'm not trading away Kuminga for CJ McCollum or anybody else that's lower level, doesn't have the same expectations or potential of a Jonathan Kuminga. Nope.
What an impression.
Thank you.
I also think this is a sign.
Well, too, back in the day when we did like a skit together on the old Caboose pistol.
Oh, brings us back. But then also, I'm also in the I'm in the camp that Kerr needs to be done for his sake. I think for the Warriors' sake, I think he's kind of lost, and I think part of the even he admitted himself like he's not doing a good job coaching. He pointed the finger at himself in a more profound way than a lot of coaches do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's coaches will say the bland kind of vague thing like, nah, players have to play, coaches have to coach, and we all have to be better. Whereas Kerr is like, I need to get Jimmy the ball in these closing minutes. I need to come up with something when we're playing in these clutch time games so that I actually have some stability in these rotations that I'm rolling out there. And I don't think he's been given the best roster to work with. It's not just Jonathan Kuminga though, with him and Lacob. It's James Wiseman as well. That's a big one. I truly believe Kerr loves himself some Moses Moody and Brandon Pajemski, though. I truly believe that just in the way that he talks about them. But I just think his time it's come to an end. And right now I don't know how it's going to get any better before it gets worse. Because if you're still figuring things out, your identity after this team has mostly been together for, I don't know what, since February into May, and then obviously these last couple of months. Like, I think we're getting away from Kerr being what he is, which is a 4-time champion as an NBA head coach who turned the Warriors into an extremely successful franchise. But it just feels like things are getting so much worse. And I hate that for Steve. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go there yet. I think that Steve, if he leaves, it's because he's fed up with Lacob. I never would think Lacob would fire him, even though he can send out this passive-aggressive email. And again, like, you do more damage responding to this. I have no issue with the fan posting it on social media. If Joe Lacob responds to an email, he has all the right in the world to send that out there. But do I ever think that Joe Lacob would fire Steve Kerr? No. I think it would be on Steve Kerr's accord. But I don't think Steve Kerr's lost his ability to coach. I think that he's a little disinterested right now. I think it's early in the season, even though it's, we're past 20 games here. But I think there's times where Steve is kind of over it. I think that he has dealt with a lot of shit these last 10 years.
That's the thing. He's over it. Like, I'm not saying this from a perspective of I could tell you who would be better. Like, I can't tell you, I want Steve Kerr gone just so they could bring in this coach because I know this coach can thrive with this system and he could do it with this players. I don't know which coach can do it with these players, but I think he's over it, and I don't know what their ceiling is with him anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like, are they a championship team? No. Are they a team that can compete with the likes of the Western Conference? No.
But do you think he's holding them back?
I don't know if he's holding them back, but I think he's just been with this roster so long that he doesn't have like a fresh point of view on it, where it's like he knows his roster and all that, but they've been together the core has been together for this long, and the fact that he's still trying to build this stability with how good of a coach that I think he is, I think it's the lack of talent that they've acquired lately.
Yeah.
Like the fact, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw a little cold water on this. And hopefully everything is okay with the Spencer family, because I know Pat Spencer and his brother Cam are both taking the night off for personal reasons. So hopefully everything's all right.
Yeah.
But the fact that we are sitting here wondering why a G League player who had 2 good games, the fact that we're fighting over why he had 7 minutes, and Pat Spencer is much better than a G League player. He's proven that. But the fact that we are complaining about that, and it shows the lack of just depth, I think, with the team. Like, Pat Spencer's great. It's a great story. but like 7 minutes a game when the starters are mostly in and most are healthy, like that feels right. But at the same time, Steve Kerr's gone against everything that he said in the past when it comes to not playing Kuminga, which is, well, we're just going to ride with the hot hand and see what sticks. Well, you were riding with the hot hand with Pat Spencer, and he just kind of fell out of the rotation. You had Will Richard playing at a pretty high level, and now he's earning DNPs along with Jonathan Kuminga. And you can't tell me that against a team like the Trailblazers, which scored 139 in the first game they played and then 127 in the next one, like you couldn't tell me that a team that clearly is younger and more athletic, you don't think the Warriors could have used some younger athleticism on the floor? It's just, I think, I don't know if he knows what to do anymore with this team.
I think he does. I think Steve's not a fool. I think he's just
not saying he's a fool. I'm just saying it's been so long here with this same team.
I'm not saying you're saying he's a fool. What I'm saying is he goes back on his words. He says all the time one thing and then changes it. He's allowed to do that as a head coach. I don't hold him to anything. Just because he said Kuminga is cemented as a starter doesn't mean shit to me. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Steve's allowed to change his mind on that one.
Yeah.
And I hear you that they could have used more athleticism, but he feels a certain way about Kuminga right now. He is in the doghouse as much as Kyle Shanahan has had receivers in the doghouse. Like whatever's going on with Jordan Watkins right now. He just doesn't trust him. He does not believe in him as a player. He does not think that he can make this team better. It's just the way it is with Jonathan Kuminga. And I worry about his trade value diminishing. But as far as him playing, I just, I'm not too worried about that right now.
Sure.
I also think when Steve says, I need to get Jimmy Butler going, I haven't done a good job of coaching this year, I think that's also him kind of subtly saying Jimmy needs to get going a little bit. Where he says, yeah, he's taking 10 shots or 11 shots in a game, but that was his MO a year ago too. We need to get him more involved with him passing, distributing the offense. I need him to get going a little bit. And I thought Draymond was spot on. I think we make so much about the rotations and everything. This team is not very good, so Steve's still figuring it out. What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? Their weaknesses are that, I don't know, there's a lot of shit right now. They're old. They can't defend very well. They need a big man, as the emailer said.
Yeah.
But Draymond saying, well, yeah, we're 13 and 14 right now. You're bound to change things up every night. I agree with that. I don't think you can have a better option at head coach. I'm one of the last people to still believe in Steve Kerr, and I know you do too, Steven, but I don't think I think he's over it with all the bullshit. I think he was over it a long time ago dealing with Kevin Durant. I think now he's over it with Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's basically saying, I need better players. Like this is going to work out. Like we're all anticipating a 5th championship for Steph Curry, and I think that's just not going to happen at this point. I don't even know what's on the table trade-wise for them past January 15th. I just think that they don't have a good enough team right now. I think that they're discombobulated. I think that Al Horford has been a disappointment to this point. And I just think that the guys that they're hoping I think the guys that are hoping to step up have not done so yet.
Right.
I think he believes in Moses Moody. He believes in Brandon Pajemski. He believes in Pat Spencer to a certain extent. But if they're going to be a contender with OKC or even the Spurs, are they leading the NBA Cup right now? I haven't been paying attention to that.
It was really close last time I looked. It was like I checked in with like a minute left in the half. It's still really close. It's San Antonio 94, Knicks 91 with about 9 minutes left.
And if they want to compete with the Nuggets, they have to change this roster, not drastically, but get a significant piece. And I don't know who that is right now.
Yeah, I don't. But I think all of the factors of the roster that you're pointing out kind of add to my point. I don't think Steve Kerr needs to go beyond this year. I'm not saying he needs to be fired. Like, I'm not saying they need to move on from him and bring in someone else because that is going to lift them to the Western Conference. I don't see this roster getting better through a trade deadline, that much better to where I'm propelling them to Western Conference champions. Maybe they can make a move in the offseason, but again, I just think it's time for Kerr to go at the end for his sake. He just doesn't need to deal with this anymore. I know it's great coaching Steph, and I think that's the only reason he's sticking around. And I mean, that might be, again, Captain Obvious reporting for duty there. Like, that might be the only reason he's sticking around right now, because why would a coach who's won 4 championships tolerate what he's had to tolerate? And Sure, some of it's on him. I do believe that. There's a percentage of it that's on him, but I believe there's a lot going on around him that's unfair. And I think a lot of people do this to head coaches when they feel like they're past their prime and holding a team back, as you mentioned. Like, I think it just gets ugly out there. And I don't think Steve Kerr needs to deal with that. He doesn't need some bum whose claim to fame is, scoring 20 points in a LA Fitness pickup game once. Like, I don't think he needs to hear that his rotations aren't what they should be from some overweight radio host who's just doing a podcast on Tuesday nights. Like, I don't think he needs to hear that.
Where's this going?
Yeah, he doesn't need to hear any of that. Like, I think he'd just be better off living his life.
I mean,
for his sake.
I mean, it comes with the territory, and Steve's a big boy. Like, he's been around worse situations.
That's true.
He got punched in the face by Michael Jordan a long time ago, and now they're good friends. So
yeah,
he's dealt with a lot of shit. I mean, if you want to get serious about it, he's dealt with a lot of shit when he was younger in his life. So this is not going to break him as a coach.
Right.
I just think that he has to be real about this team. Is there going to be a significant move they can make where they feel like they're championship contenders? And right now, I'd say I don't know what that is. I don't think they're getting Giannis. Yeah, and Otis Bird in the chat says Herb Jones. Who's the other guy for the Pelicans? Trey Murphy. Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't watch a ton of Pelicans basketball to have a good gauge on those guys. So
Herb Jones is sick. He's everything I think they wanted Kuminga to be, except I think he's a little taller and a little longer, but he's like a defensive mastermind. So
okay. Well, until that day comes, I don't really have an opinion right now.
Right.
But I think that there's just a lot of bullshit going on behind the scenes. I think that weighs on Steve, but also he sees it's definitely going to end soon. Him, Draymond, Steph. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he signs on for another year. But shit like this doesn't help. Like I know today he kind of blew it off, and I found it funny where he was like, "I don't care for people leaking emails, like all of our private all of our private emails.
Yeah.
If we did that, then everybody would be in trouble." I'm like, he's pro John Gruden. I like that in Steve Kerr. But he says like it wasn't that big of a deal, and I think that Steve believes in that because I'm sure when things are shitty, that Joe's talking bad about the team, and he did kind of undermine Steve Kerr in the email, but not to the point where you thought like, damn, they can't get along right now. So I don't know. It's early in the season. We're not even at Christmas right now, and I know that a lot of people say you can get a good sense of how good a team is after 20 games, but that remains to be seen. I still think the Warriors could be a playoff team. I think that they can make a trade that propels them in the standings, but one that makes them championship contenders. I don't know about this season. I just don't know.
Yeah, and I could be totally wrong. It just I'm also I go way too much personally with the ebbs and flows of basketball. Like when a team is down, it just looks like the body language, just after the game, it's just disheveled. That's how everyone feels. It's just it's a. If you ask me when they're winning, like they win like 5 out of the next 6, and I'll be like, this team's a playoff team, and maybe I was wrong. So exactly. I'm willing to admit that. However, what if I told you, Steve Kerr?
What if I told you?
Let's just say, what if I told you that Steve Kerr, a 4-time NBA champion, resigned? Okay, I'm done. What if he resigned after this season?
Were you doing who's a Hard Knocks guy?
No, I wasn't doing Liev Schreiber. I was trying to do the 30 for 30 guy who's got a majestic voice.
He does.
What if I told you, how would you feel if I told you that Steve Kerr is done and he finishes out his contract and then rides off into the sunset so that he could, I don't know, be like a co-host on Tom Tolbert's show? What if, which would be a good podcast, actually. I'd listen to that one every episode.
I don't know if Steve would do that periodically. I don't know if he commit to that.
No, Derek, just play along. All right.
All right, fine. Steve and Tom podcast. I like.
But
that.
What if I told you that Steve Kerr was done after this season, and they bring in a guy who doesn't have a coaching job right now, who does have a little bit of a relationship with Joe Lacob because he was an offensive assistant when Lacob took over. But what if they end up hiring the Nikola?
Yeah,
we're running the shit back. Nikola, Bruce Brown.
I love Michael Malone.
How would you feel about that? Would you
that would be my first choice, 100%. And I don't give a damn about whatever happened behind the scenes with the Nuggets, how he was kind of a tyrant. I liked Michael Malone. I'd be down for that, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there
Yeah.
yet with Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. What's more likely, Steve Kerr resigns after the season or Pete Carroll does?
Ooh, that's a tremendous question. That is a tremendous question. I think it's Steve Kerr.
Really?
I think it's Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I don't think Pete wants to resign. In perfect transition. Let's talk some football right now. And by the way, everybody, this is going to be our only show this week. We're going to take the weekend off. We'll post our picks for Week 16 in the NFL. Saturday games coming up, and I got a KBR Christmas party on Friday night, so most likely I'm going to be hungover as shit. And you guys want to watch the CFP on Saturday, so we'll just do this show this week, and we'll be back next Tuesday for you. All right. Raiders lose 31-0. Worse than the 31-0 loss to the Chiefs? Just the same?
It was about the same, except it was to the Eagles and not to a division rival, your oldest rival, strongest rival.
Yeah, and I can't say the Eagles are better now because the greatest elixir for a struggling offense is playing the Raiders defense.
Yeah.
And I still see kind of the same issues with the Eagles. It's just it all worked against the Raiders defense because they were putrid, but offensively they were terrible as well. The Raiders had 75 yards of offense, worst since 1961.
Yeah.
Some teams have 75 yards on a drive.
Yeah.
The entire game.
Most teams have 75 yards on a drive.
And by the way, they had 95 yards of offense back in Week 7 against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know today, it wasn't Adam Schefter, it was Ian Rappaport, put out a tweet saying a lot of things are bad with the Raiders right now. But one shining moment or one shiny thing on this season is Devin White, how he has a shit ton of tackles and is in the conversation for comeback player of the year. And I'm glad I wasn't the only one because many Raider fans and many NFL analysts were like, are you out of your mind? Devin White, yes, he's come back and has a ton of stats or tackles on a stat sheet, but he has been awful this season. He will not be in contention for comeback player of the year. This is the perfect example of a agent getting to Ian Rappaport and saying, can you help my client out a little bit? Like if he hits his incentive of getting comeback player of the year, that would help it out with his bonus. So that was 100% that today. And the timing of it was awful because Devin White got called out by Max Crosby during this game.
Yeah.
Where how many times did the Eagles score? Obviously twice, but they ran a little flip play where Dallas Guard's going on a jet sweep, catches the ball, and scores a touchdown. And you can see on the play, Devin White's not doing anything. He just, kind of fake hustles his way to the sign like, oh, man, I should have got him. And Max Crosby's like, set the edge. Set the fucking edge. So it was equal parts bad offensively and defensively. And
well, that's what ended his career in Tampa Bay.
Absolutely.
Was his lack of motivation.
Yeah.
Like there was plays. I remember Warren Sapp calling him out on Twitter, if Warren Sapp's even allowed on there anymore. But he called him out on Twitter.
Was he banned?
I don't know. Just feel like Warren Sapp would be banned from a social media account for posting some crazy shit. But he called out Devin White for this one play I remember where he stopped playing, stopped running. And we've seen that twice now. I think that was pent up frustration from Crosby. It's 2 weeks in a row where it's just, he's completely fallen flat. It's just I don't even remember their opponent last week. It was the damn Broncos. That's right. When the Broncos ran one in for a touchdown, and Devin White just kind of stopped in his tracks, just stopped moving. It's what are you doing? So he's lost. Like playing for a team that's 2-12 with all the hype that was going around him. I don't think he was. I don't think he was prepared for this type of season. So he's given up. Yeah, great job by the agent to try and get it to Rappaport to boost whatever that is in the comeback player of the year voting. But really that backfired because all it did was point out how poor he's played this season.
Yeah, no chance in hell that he wins comeback player of the year.
I like how everyone responded with the odds too. Just immediately posting a screenshot of the odds from like DraftKings or whatever
Yeah.
sports book with comeback player of the year. Right now, Christian McCaffrey's the leader, and Phillip Rivers been rising up the boards.
Well, I mean, in a season where you've seen the Raiders lose 31-0 twice and lost to the Colts, what was it, 40-3 or 40-6, whatever it was, it's looking more and more like 2006. And honestly, 2006 was different because the defense was actually good that year.
Yeah.
But they were shut out, I think, 3 times. And this season, they've been shut out twice, multiple games where they didn't score a touchdown. And they just look lost. They look like they don't have a lot of effort on either side of the ball. And I know that Kenny Pickett was put in a, not a great position to succeed this week, but you gotta show me more than that. Like on the first drive, I thought, okay, well, you know what? Maybe he can overcome the deficiencies on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Where Geno Smith's a statue, but Kenny Pickett can move in the pocket. And then they go for on a 4th down play, and he just, dirts it in the ground. So do you have the 2 clips from Pete Carroll, Steven?
I do.
All right. This is Pete Carroll when let's play the first one where he's asked about the effort of the team. And to me, this is telling. Where Pete's trying to sell you that the team's trying and that they worked their ass off this week, but it just didn't, result in a win. So this is Pete kind of being pushed by the media that his team is kind of
dogging it.
Dogging it, not trying very hard.
How you expected this team to be competitive and to be one that would fight, and I'm not saying they've quit, but with 2 wins.
Oh, these guys fought their ass off. Hold on. Let me address that because you brought it up.
Can we just?
He's defending his team. I get that part.
Can we just appreciate the box next to him, the graphic?
29 yards passing. Good Lord.
75 yards of offense. Yeah, they fought their ass off. They really did.
And by the way, look at that real quick. 1 turnover.
Yeah.
1 turnover.
Yeah.
And also, let's not to give a ton of credit to Chip Kelly, but this offense is still pretty bad. No matter if he was trying to sabotage the team and call the wrong plays or call plays that weren't even installed, it's the same result with Greg Olsen right now. Anyway, continue on with the clip, Steven, with Pete Carroll.
They fought their ass off. That was the result. They didn't stop fighting. That was the result of our play right there. And I have a lot of respect for the roster we just played against. And maybe they didn't look like it in the last couple of weeks or whatever, but they played like they're capable, and we couldn't stop them. And so that's what I saw.
What I said, I'm not saying they've quit. I'm asking you, what with this team
There you go, Honda.
where they are right now,
Get in
what do you think that is going on? Because you didn't think this is where they would be.
Well, I would never think we would. What would I base that thought on, that we would be really fighting for our life here? I have nothing but wins and background and history and all of that to set our expectations and to maintain the standards that we work by. And that's what we're doing. We're still doing it. We're still practicing hard. We're still working hard. We're still studying hard. The guys are giving good effort. They're in the weight room. They're fighting their tails off. The only good thing that happened was we didn't get anybody hurt today, but they're doing all we're asking them. And this is the result of it against the world champs last year, who maybe weren't playing quite like that for a month here or whatever, but they look like it today. They look like a great team today.
So what I come away with there is that Pete thought this team was going to be good. This wasn't a tank situation. And he's basically telling you this team is not very good. Like I'm doing everything right. We're fighting our ass off during team meetings. I'm coaching them well, but this is the result. We're playing a much better team that has a lot more talent. So I think this is Pete's not plea, but this is him basically saying, you know who I am? I'm Pete Carroll. I've been around the block. I've coached UFC to multiple national championships. I got the Seahawks a Super Bowl. I know what I'm doing as a head coach. Why would I think that this team is going to be bad? It's because the team is bad. I coach them right. They're just not doing what I tell them to do. That's what I came away with.
Yeah. And I also, it's hard to evaluate Pete Carroll as an in-game coach right now. Like, the win-loss record is all we really have to go off of. But I don't know how much I could say, like, Pete's done a poor coaching job on the field. He hasn't been in like situations where any call has been crucial to the game. Like the only one I could think of is, I don't know, the overtime game against Jacksonville where they decided to go for it, which I agree they should have instead of just ending the game with a tie. Like I've liked that, but also that stubborn nature of him saying we fought our ass. No. Like being almost rejecting the question. That stubborn nature right there, it makes me believe even more that he's going to stick around, that he doesn't want to retire. Like I could picture him going into Mark Davis's office and say, look, Mark, if you're planning on getting rid of me, go ahead on Black Monday. But what I'm planning on doing is taking this team to the next level. And I promise if you get these players, I'll turn it around next season. And he'll say it with such a confidence, such a vigor, such hubris that Mark Davis will be like, okay, well, I'm going to go focus on my championship aces while I reel in the money from Allegiant Stadium. Yay. And that's how
pretty good impression
goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't think that, to answer my question from earlier, I think that Steve Kerr would be more inclined to retire or walk away or resign than Pete Carroll would, because he hated that he was pushed out the door in Seattle. He hated that he basically was fired for being old. I think that was some of it too in Seattle, where he wasn't really good with in-game decisions, deciding to go for it on fourth down or not go for it. Yeah. That was a criticism of Pete Carroll. But as you just said, Stephen, that we haven't seen that, because for the most part, he's been getting blown out this year. Right. So can we play the last clip where he's asked about being on the hot seat?
Yeah. Yeah. That is, like I was going to say, even when that clip kind of, has me believing that he's not going to retire. Well, this one for sure has me believing in that. Yeah.
I'm curious. During these final 3 weeks of the season, do you feel like you're coaching for your job? Like, I wonder, how do you kind of like?
No, I don't feel like that at all. I really don't. I don't. I'm well beyond that. I don't feel like that.
Would you be willing to oversee a rebuild?
Well, it's looking like that's what's necessary. We need to keep working to get better, and that's in all areas, all aspects of what we're doing. I came in here thinking that we were going to turn it right away. I really did, and anticipated doing that, and that's not what's taking place, unfortunately.
Is that just an evaluation of the talent was just off with not being able to?
I blindly optimistic as I am, I thought we would come in here and we'd have a big factor on this club, and we would be able to, find success that we would be proud of. And right now it doesn't feel like that.
I mean, when he says, I'm way past that, it's, do what you got to do, Mark. Like, I'm Pete Carroll, and you brought me here for a reason. But if you want to fire me, fire me. I go back to, I think it was training camp, or whenever he said, we're going to win a ton of games here. We're going to win a bunch of games. I never thought for a second that they had the mentality that they were trying to rebuild. I don't think Pete Carroll would sign up for a rebuild. He's 73 years old, doesn't have time for a rebuild. But now when he realizes the evaluation of talent was off 100%, he tells you right there, this team's not very good. So does he have the time to build this team up for the next 3 years? Because, we'll talk about it later on, but there's a window now in the AFC West, with Patrick Mahomes out for the foreseeable future. And the Denver Broncos are capitalizing on it, and the LA Chargers are, and the Raiders right now are not.
Yeah.
They're way behind everybody else in that division, even the Chiefs. So, with that all being said, I thought that, I've said this numerous times, I thought Pete Carroll was going to come in and have a Mike Vrabel effect on this team, and I thought that it was going to be instant, where they win 10 games. That was stupid of me. Mm-hmm. This team is way far behind as far as talent. They over-evaluated different positions, did not focus on the positions of need, offensive line. They tried quick fixes with quarterback play by trading for Geno Smith and thinking that Ashton Genty was going to help this offense without building the offensive line. They relied on inexperienced wide receivers. They brought back guys that have not played football in a long time, at Devin White or Jamal Adams, and a lot of rookies. And I'm still holding out hope for John Spytek to be a good GM. But the same thing with Bob Melvin and the Giants. It was supposed to be where this thing changes right away, and it didn't happen. and that's unfortunate. I never like firing coaches after one season, but I can't sign off on Pete Carroll coming back. So I thought he was going to be the difference maker. It's hard to tell a Hall of Fame coach you're fired, but I don't see any other way right now. And this is not to say that this was a wrong decision. It just wasn't the right one. Where you had Ben Johnson, you had Mike Vrabel, but both those guys turned the job down. The next best option is Pete Carroll because you need adult in the room. You need another Super Bowl. You need another Super Bowl winning coach to go along with who's in that division. And it is an upgrade over Antonio Pierce. You can't tell me otherwise. But for what the season has been, with seeing a 31-0 loss to the Eagles and a 31-0 loss to the Chiefs and all the other bullshit that's happened this year, I think the Raiders need to fire Pete Carroll.
I think so too, but I don't think they're going to. And it's like, I mean, even though you think they should, but what about your earlier statement about how Mark Davis is just not going to do that?
Yeah, he very well could not. He's paying so many coaches right now.
I think you're bringing up very reasonable points. I think I don't really have anything to disagree with. What am I going to say? What can I say to keep Pete Carroll around? But will Mark Davis do it? I don't think so.
I think that it's the same thing. Well, no,
it flipped. Because I was, oh God. I was saying earlier that they need to move on from Pete Carroll, and you're telling me, well, Mark Davis ain't going to do that.
Did I say that in an earlier podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still believe that to a certain extent where he signed him to a 3-year deal.
Right.
But I don't think he anticipated the way this season looking the way it has gone. They're awful. Like, dude, they should get the first overall pick. Like, other teams have improved throughout the season. Like, the Jets are terrible, but they've gotten better a little bit.
Right.
The Cleveland Browns each week get a little bit better with their defense and Shador at times. The Tennessee Titans improve a little bit. This team has gotten worse every week. Their best game of the season was week 1. Yeah. And it's been terrible since then when they beat the Patriots. So if I'm thinking about it reasonably and just taking my so-called fandom out of it,
it's fandom.
Yeah. Well, it's not as strong as it used to be. But Mark can't be paying all these coaches. I think he's still paying John Gruden.
Yes.
He's got to pay Josh McDaniels. He's got to pay, I mean, I don't know how long Antonio Pierce's contract was, and he would have to pay 2 more years to Pete Carroll. So financially, it screws them. But the same thing with picking up the option on Bob Melvin for Buster Posey. I don't think he could tell this fan base, we're running it back, guys.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. You know what Mark Davis does need to do, though? Here's what he says. Here's the ultimatum that he brings. Look, at the very least, like if Pete Carroll wants his job, right? If he is fighting for his job with that same intensity that he had there for Hondo in the post-game presser, if he goes in there and has that same, look, I didn't think we'd finish this way, but we'll be a lot better next season, and does all the talking because Pete Carroll's really good at that. He's really good at knowing what to say and knowing when to say them. But I think Mark Davis needs to say, look, I'll keep you around. Sure. But the first thing you need to do, the first order of business, is you let go of your son as the offensive line coach, or else I'm not letting you back, or else I'm firing you.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of your son. Like, it hasn't worked.
And Patrick Graham needs to go at this point.
Yeah, Patrick Graham. It was, that sucks. The illusion of complexity thing. Someone else is talking about the illusion of complexity earlier on. I think it was like Monday Night Football or something like that.
Yeah,
Patrick Graham said that back in 2021. What are you?
Yeah, but really, it's an illusion of a defense at this point.
Right. There's nothing there.
Nothing.
So, but I think the first order of business: get rid of your son. They had a lot of success in Seattle, but the offensive line they're playing so poorly that I don't think there's an individual crop of players that are just so bad that they look lost. I think that's on coaching. Your symphony is going to suck if your conductor doesn't know where to go. If he doesn't know when to call the horns, doesn't know when to call the woodwinds, doesn't know when to rise the crescendo of the timpani in the background from percussion.
Well, you've been watching documentaries on composers?
Nah, dude. I was a band guy from 7th till 10th grade.
Okay.
but the offensive line has just been so out of sync. It has me thinking a change at coach at the very least is needed. And
Yeah.
if the offensive line coach is the one who's making the personnel decisions, then he's responsible for the whole Jackson Powers Johnson thing at the start of the year. And now Jackson Powers Johnson, I felt terrible for this guy. I just thought of this. I didn't even mean to bring this up. You don't have Instagram, but there are these two guys from New Zealand. They do like a radio show out there.
Yeah.
They a radio show, or maybe it's a podcast. It's called The Morning Shift. Look at you just watching. But there's these two guys from New Zealand, and they're hilarious, right? But they're also Raiders fans, and they're all the way from New Zealand. I think really,
Damn.
like most, I think they probably
It's like
just
Fly
got
the
it-
Concords mixed with Raiders. Nice.
I think they got into it because Brit prisoned. But I think they got into it because the Raiders are just stylish, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how
Hey,
a lot of
They're
people got into
cool,
it.
even though they're a terrible football team. They're cool.
They
though.
were, yeah. And they were watching the game with JPJ. They took an Instagram story watching the game against the Eagles with JPJ.
Okay.
And that guy had no interest in watching his own team. Maybe I'm painting that poorly, but he's sitting there on the table behind the couch, he's got like some steak in front of him or something. And these guys are watching. Who knows if they understand what's going on with the Raiders this year? They probably just came to America, and I don't know. Maybe they do know what's going on, but they were watching with they were so eager, you
Yeah.
know, like, forearms on the knees and all that, like leaning forward in the seats. Whereas JPJ is like, this is gonna be bad. I think he just knows. He didn't look too thrilled with being there, though. He did repost it. That's how I saw it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Was he watching a replay of this or watching it live?
Not watching it live.
He was just inactive for the game and decided to watch it with. Oh, he's out, right?
Yeah, he's out with an injury. I think he's done for the year.
Damn.
Yeah, so he's just watching it with these
And
two.
he did a
guys.
live stream while the game was going on. That's
Wasn't a live
interesting.
stream. They were just watching it, hanging out, buds.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
With Jackson Powers Johnson.
That does sound like Fly the Concords.
I used to do a New Zealand pilot thing because one time I took New Zealand Airlines to England,
Yeah.
and I was really disappointed because I was hoping that the pilot would have like a thick New Zealand accent, you know?
Yeah.
You know, all right, we're flying at about 37,000 feet. If you see the seatbelt signs are turned off, and you are free to move about the cabin.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Do that, and that's why I'm a big fan. It's because I respect them. Mac Van, New Zealand loves the Raiders. UFC, Alex Volkanovski, huge fan. Though Volkanovski, I think, is from Australia. No, but anyway, point being,
Don't get that mixed up.
let's circle back around. The Raiders need to fire their offensive line coach. You remember this kind of flew under the radar. You remember when we did that show after the Titans, and there was that one play with the guy who's actually got let go today, Lakey Fotu, the defensive tackle, and he got the sack. But the reason he did is because the guard and the tackle were just looking complete opposite ways and not even looking at him.
Yep.
Well, their offensive line coach got fired right after that. The
Mhm.
day after, Bill Callahan got let go.
Yeah. Brian Callahan was let go, and Bill Callahan. Yep.
That's what makes a difference. And I'm looking at the Titans, and I just literally looked up their offensive line earlier today. And the first thing I see on Reddit is, why is our offensive line just that much better since Bill Callahan's been fired?
Yeah.
And you've seen it a little bit. You saw it a little bit against the 49ers, where they were controlling the line of scrimmage at times, and the Titans were running the football well with Tony Pollard. I just think a change is absolutely needed there, if there's going to be any, and if Pete Carroll's not that change.
I'm with you, Steven. And perfect transition to talk about the 49ers now. They beat the Tennessee Titans 37-24. Brock Purdy. Before we get into this game, Steven, you got a little bet to pay up.
Yeah, I got
Steven's got to do the hot sauce this week. And to Mac Van, I got your hot beef jerky. I will be doing that next time I lose. I will be doing either Reaper or Ghost Pepper, which will most likely do me in.
So That sounds just awful.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Well,
the gift, but that sounds awful.
I sacrifice for this podcast.
God, it's hot. So today, the vessel we are going with, cracklins,
Pork rinds?
pork rinds. Yeah. Fried out pork fat with the attached skin. I don't know. It was cheap. And I felt like having some pork rinds. I love pork rinds.
Pork rinds are good. I can't remember the last time I've had a pork rind.
Oh, it's delicious.
Are you
Delicious.
putting hot sauce on a pork rind?
Yeah.
All right then.
Why?
No, it's just that's
It's
interesting.
either that or barbecue quinoa chips.
Pork rinds it is.
Or chocolate. Here we go.
All right, Steven's eating a pork rind with some hot sauce on it. So, Steven, your takeaways from the it's contrasting flavors there. Steven, your thoughts on the 49ers 37-24 win over Tennessee?
Glock Purdy, bro.
Glock Purdy?
Glock Purdy. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Glock Purdy. That's my
I
thought
before
on the
big
49ers.
game Brock. Big brain Brock.
That's my thought with the 49ers and Titans. No, that look,
You know, they're suffering there.
I am. It hurts.
Okay.
Did I say block Purdy?
Glock Purdy, man. Throwing
Yeah.
Glocks out there.
Yeah. I like how it's Mac Jones too, who mentioned, yeah, it's Glock Purdy, bro. Then there's Mac 10, Mac Jones for like the two.
Oh, yeah, that
quarterbacks
was
out there.
That was Tim Ryan's thing for a while. It was like Mac 10, baby, faux life. Ha ha.
What did I think? Well, 49ers far and away more talented. Should have won this game. Had they lost this game, they'd be in trouble. I think my number one takeaway is what would this defense look like against a playoff caliber offense? Because we really haven't seen it lately. And that'd be one thought. And that's just kind of my only negative thing from it. Anything else? God, the offense. I think the offense is not back to 2023 because Christian McCaffrey's not the same player, but that's still a damn good offense if Brock Purdy's playing the way that he did.
Yep.
I think despite whatever the Titans defense is, and even George Kittle after the game having to repeat, no disrespect to the Titans, not a playoff defense. So we have a ways to go. But even against the worst defense in the NFL, it's not like Brock Purdy was making plays where it was just easy, where it's just 2-3-step drops, playing on the back foot, and just let it rip because you're not getting any pressure in your face. You got wide open receivers everywhere, and it's your pick. You're having the field day. I thought he made a lot of really difficult throws. That was really impressive. The way that he was able to evade pressure when it was in his face. I thought he made a couple of throws to Pearsall, which reminded you of the connection you saw with those two in the first 4 weeks of the season. I thought the game was really about Brock and the difficulty that he was playing with. Making difficult plays look routine. And I think that's what's made Brock Purdy special ever since was the last overall pick in the draft. It was cool hearing Drew Brees calling the game because
He's gotten better on a broadcast, man.
Purdy, yeah. And Purdy's drawn a lot of comparisons to Drew Brees just based on their height alone. And I don't know, maybe the arm strength or whatever it is, but Purdy's obviously a more mobile quarterback than Brees was. Yeah, I just think everything that we know that made Purdy special, he put that on display on Sunday. And I thought it was really impressive. I do think it has to come with the caveat that they were playing the Titans. And who knows, maybe I said wide receivers weren't open. I just mean not consistently all the time. There were a lot of open windows for Purdy to make plays. So I thought, it's just overall a very impressive performance, but a game that they should have won.
Yeah, I think that Brock Purdy may have had his best performance since 2023. Just efficient and his mobility, dude. I'm surprised the way he's able to move right now with that turf toe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he definitely kind of overcomes a lot of the deficiencies with the offensive line. They've played better of late, but Mac Jones was a little less mobile than Brock Purdy. I think the offense is obviously very good. I think that Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive play callers around football. So week in and week out, he's going to find a way to score some points. Can they score against, playoff caliber defenses? That remains to be seen, but I do think that they would be able to do that. It's just, I didn't realize this until after the game, that Juwan Jennings has 7 receiving touchdowns on the season, but he's the only receiver to catch a touchdown.
Yeah.
So they don't have the same offense as the Lions. I think the Lions have the best offensive football. I think they do. With their ability to throw deep and their pass catchers, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the most explosive player in all of football. They're an explosive offense. The 49ers offense is not explosive, but it's hard to stop. And I think that Christian McCaffrey defenses just focus on him. So even though he's not the same running back he used to be or not lighting it up as far as rushing yards, he's still effective with just how hard he is to stop, how he's just a Swiss Army knife. I keep using that term, but he is. His ability to catch the ball and rush.
Right.
And, Juwan Jennings is unstoppable in the red zone, George Kittle. But to your point, Steven, they're playing Tennessee. And there were moments where Tennessee could have got into this game. There was a missed wide-open throw to Van Jefferson that Cam Ward missed. There was the missed field goal right before half. They got back into this game. Nothing defensively in this game or the last 3 weeks has made me think any differently about the 49ers.
Yeah.
I think that they're the same defense that we saw against the Rams. And it hasn't been, obviously, that point total that they've given up, 42 points. But that's why these last 3 games to me are crucial against the Colts, against the Bears, and against the Seahawks, because this defense can stop, in my opinion, simplistic running schemes. Like, really, the Atlanta Falcons offense is not that complex. It's just, can you stop Bijan Robinson? And can you contain Michael Penix? If you stop Bijan Robinson and cover Drake London very well, then by all means, you leave Michael Penix to make plays on you, then you can live and die with that. But if you stop Bijan Robinson, you're golden. Same thing with facing the Carolina Panthers. Their focus in that game was to shut down Rico Dowdle. They didn't need to because he only got 6 carries. They overthought that game as far as Dave Canales as a play caller. With these last 3 games, the run offenses are way more complex, with Shane Steichen having the ability to have so much eye candy at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And Jonathan Taylor just not running in a simple, single back formation. It's offset. It's, you got the offensive lineman pulling a different direction. Same thing with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, that whole offense is predicated by the running game. Same thing with the Seahawks. They have a really good passing game, but it's really run through Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. So that's my biggest concern the last 3 weeks. But, I do think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. It's just, yes, I think that this proves that Brock Purdy is the guy, even though Mac Jones was very good as the backup quarterback. Brock Purdy's the guy. And there could be conversations this offseason with the Chiefs having a major injury at quarterback, the Colts having a major injury, Miami last night watching Tua, that there's going to be a lot of suitors for Mac Jones this offseason. You could get him return a 3rd-round pick. But it's a good victory for the 49ers, 4 consecutive wins. To me, it's not what the 49ers have done that has me thinking differently. It's the entire NFC. It's the ramifications of a Micah Parsons injury. It's other things that I watch. It's just like where every team is flawed right now, but it's not really because I think the 49ers are the cream of the crop when it comes to the NFC.
The 49ers are vulnerable, just like any team. But I think we know that it's going to come down to the offense. It's going to come down to the offense.
Yeah.
Like, if this team is giving up 24 to a team like the Titans, which I think had been averaging the lowest point total per game, and honestly, it could have been higher because there was, I think, Cam Ward missed a wide open Van Jefferson.
Yep.
Going down the sideline. Like, had he actually hit that throw, then, that would have been another touchdown, and that would have changed the entire game, really. Like, I think the 49ers are vulnerable just like with any team. But, God, when that offense is clicking, like, I'd put that up there with the better ones in the NFC, like when they're healthy. But I don't know what's going to happen with Ricky Pearsall. I think
Yeah.
they're a much better offense with Ricky Pearsall. I really do. And I don't know what Purdy's connection is with Kendrick Bourne the way it was with Mac Jones, where it felt like Kendrick Bourne turned into a possession receiver. I don't know where his connection is other than just those random plays where he needs to convert a third down and he just happens to go to his second or third option. I think with Pearsall missing, they could take a step back a little bit, but it is up to the offense. And I think it's I mentioned the George Kittle comments earlier. The way that he's talked about this team, like you could see a trend, right? The defense has been really good. George Kittle just talks about physicality, right? We're going to play really good football. They're going to try to play really good football, but we're really good at football. So we're a better football team. And we play a lot of football. He loves saying football. Big. I'm saying
Big football guy.
big football guy, right? By the way, they're at the hockey game right now. They're at the 49ers are at the Sharks game.
Nice.
Taking on the Flames.
I think it's 3-2 Sharks.
Yeah. So I think though, if you hear his post-game press conferences from years past, he's saying it without saying anything against his defense, but with the expectations he's putting on the offense, it feels like he knows. He knows that this defense might not be playoff caliber, or this defense might not be able to compete against playoff offenses. And he understands that the onus is on them to put points on the board. Like they have to, or else they're probably going to lose. Like I think that's what's different about this 49ers team compared to years past, where the offense was almost just a luxury based on how good their defense was.
Yeah.
That term defense wins championships, whatever. It's a cliche, but there's a lot of truth to it. And when they had stellar defenses and the offense on top of it, then, I mean, they were just so balanced. And I'm not really seeing that balance so far with this team. Though, I will, the thing that I think Robert Saleh's done really well, and I think he kind of set the tone in his first stint with the Niners, but they do fly to the football. I'll give them that. They really do. Like, there's no one giving up on a play.
No, definitely. And as far as Ricky Pearsall, like, it was good to see him, have his first productive game since the injury. Getting hurt on that first play from scrimmage, and then the last catch he had. But in between that, he had a solid performance. I think 96 yards receiving. And if they want to take this offense to the next level, then he needs to be that big play guy. Not to say he's going to be a Jamar Chase type or Justin Jefferson, but he needs to be their go-to guy. And I think that we'll see what happens this week as they play the Colts. Get a little bit of longer time to prepare for that one. So we'll see if Ricky's good to go on Monday night. But if he's not good to go, I still have faith in this offense. It's just how it's going to be. How's it going to be against a Lou Anarumo defense? Like the Colts had a really good game plan against the Seahawks. So can they replicate that against the 49ers? And will be enough for Phillip Rivers against this defense where he doesn't have to worry about the pass rush? Because this is where Robert Saleh needs to scheme it up a little bit. And I think they might get reinforcements back with Tatum Bethune. We'll see about that with the high ankle sprain. And Eric Kendricks could play for the first time. They might get Samuel Kawanu back and Yatir Gross-Matos. But to me, those guys are nice role players. It's the same thing with the Packers. You don't have Micah Parsons. That screws you. Like I know that people are waiting for Fred Warner to return, and Fred Warner will make a hell of a difference. Yeah. But to me, it's not having Nick Bosa. The teams that win championships get after the quarterback. It's why the LA Rams won that Super Bowl. It wasn't because of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Those guys were integral to that success. But the reason they were able to close it out is because they sacked Joe Burrow, I think, 7 times with Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and Aaron Donald. You need pass rush. The 49ers just don't have it right now. And I don't see it improving against a 44-year-old quarterback. But to me, they're on the same level with a lot of teams in the NFC right now just because of all the injuries that have taken place this past week. And just how I think the Rams are the best team in the NFC, but they definitely have their flaws. We talked about it. Like, their secondary is not the best. So it's going to be very interesting the next 3 weeks here. And I would say these next 3 weeks for the 49ers, playing the Colts, playing the Bears, and playing the Seahawks, it is reminiscent of when they had to go on that 3-game stretch in 2019 where they played the Packers, the Ravens, and the Saints.
Mm.
At that time, we knew the Niners were a really good team, and they could be a force to be reckoned with when it came to their defense for the NFC West. But I didn't know they were Super Bowl contenders until those 3 games, when they beat the crap out of the Packers, when they held their own against the Ravens and ultimately lost. But when they won that game in New Orleans, that's when I was like, damn, they won that game 48-46. They can hang with the big dogs. And that's where I need to see that this week, or these next 3 games, where they're a good team. They have a really good offense, suspect defense, but can they turn it on these last 3 weeks of the regular season? That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Agreed. And what better time to do that than against old man gridiron Grandpa Rivers, who could barely throw the football.
Well, let's get into that as we do a little quick hits action. What'd you think of him? Not bad.
Underwhelming.
You know, I gotta say,
I didn't have any higher expectations than that, but my thought was, okay, Riley Leonard was bad, but he can't do that. You can't just get him quick passes where you're just forcing the ball out as soon as possible, just trying to avoid sacks and limit the interceptions.
I mean, that was the key. And I thought the Colts had a really good defensive game plan. It's honestly, we'll talk about this more with the Seahawks in weeks to come before they face the 49ers. And this is a huge game this Thursday with the Seahawks and Rams. The Seahawks offense has been hit or miss, where either they start off slow, like last week against the Atlanta Falcons, or they get hot and then they lose steam as the game progresses. I think that defenses kind of are getting tells on Sam Darnold. Either he's just like, starting the game off 11 for 11 and 2 touchdowns, or he's struggling. And sometimes, like we saw it earlier this year, where they were up big on the Texans and then just kind of fucked around the second half.
Right.
But the Colts had a good defensive game plan against Sam Darnold and held them to 5 field goals. Or was it 6? Yeah, 6 field goals, 18-16. So they got the win. Give credit to the Seahawks. As far as Phillip Rivers, I got to believe the 49ers come up with a good game plan against him. But then again, Phillip Rivers was playing on a really short week where he just got there on, Tuesday? Signed with them and played on Sunday. And the key to the game was just getting the ball out quickly. He got sacked once. He didn't have to move around the pocket. There were some good throws. Not anything fantastic. It was all dink and dunk stuff, but he threw a couple of good passes along the sidelines to Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. But kind of went as I expected a little bit. I thought it might have been worse, where he throws like 3 interceptions and he's just terrible. But he held his own. They had a good lead. It was a defensive-oriented game. They were winning that game 13-3, and then the Seahawks came back. And I thought that the Colts had a good game plan as far as their zone coverage, where they don't have Sauce Gardner. I don't know if Javarius Ward was out there either, but they didn't let everything go over the top. They held everything in front of them, and it was the big play receivers that weren't going to let them, beat them until later on in the game where they found holes in the secondary. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't think it's going to be where Phillip Rivers is going to be the savior for the Colts, but it went better than I anticipated.
But how many other quarterbacks can do that? I guess on the other side of it, there is a sense that I'm sure the players feel, whatever it is, they feel more juice when it's Phillip Rivers who's commanding the huddle, as opposed to a Riley Leonard. Because some of them know Phil, but there's that leadership quality that he has to him. And he's a competent quarterback. For all his flaws, he is a competent quarterback, and he has those traits. And I think those teammates believe in him, and they would probably believe in him a little bit more, say, than Sam Ehlinger or we just mentioned Riley Leonard. Everyone's going to be mentioning him. So I get why they're doing it, but he really can only take them so far. Like whatever aspirations they had when they got off to that 8-1 start. I don't know if they were thinking Super Bowl. I don't know if they were thinking AFC Championship. Surely they were thinking AFC South. But I don't know. Say the Colts do end up winning the division for whatever happens these next 3 games. Like, what are they going to do? It's not going to result in much other than a wild card loss, in my opinion, just because playoffs are a different animal. But it's fun.
But that'll be the most success they've had in a long time.
Sure. That's a fun story. That's fun. And you talked about the Seahawks and their good game plan. And on top of that, Sam Darnold, just confidence lacking, I think, with him. He's hitting Jackson Smith and Jigba. They have a connection there.
Yeah.
But Ben Solak pointed out an interesting stat from these last 3 games, where he is, or these last 2, I think, he is 0 for 9 on tight window throws. He's just not wanting to make the difficult throws anymore. Like at this stage, for whatever reason. And it might have been the Rams that did him in, and he gets a chance to redeem himself on Thursday night. If Darnold looks like a different quarterback, then I might be taking this Seahawks team seriously in the playoffs. But another thing I kind of drew from this Colts game is I don't know if I can take the Seahawks team seriously when they could beat a Phillip Rivers, who only had less than a week of practice, led Colts to win, but by only 1 point. And it was a last-second field goal because the Colts defense just couldn't get a stop on the last drive.
Well, I credit more of the Colts defense in this game because they had a good game plan. And I think Sam Darnold came through in the second half of the game, where he led them on multiple field goal drives, and that was clutch in the end, where Groupie has that 60-yard field goal, and then they have to go down the field to get a 58-yarder for Jason Myers. But yes, Sam Darnold has been inconsistent. So he's the one thing I worry about. And I was surprised the Seahawks didn't come with more blitzes, but I guess the Colts offensive line just held their own. I have to believe that Robert Saleh is going to try to light a fire under Phillip Rivers or light his ass up, I should say, with sending some blitzes there, because this 49ers defense, this pass rush, can't get to quarterbacks the way it is right now. And if it is just with Phillip Rivers getting the ball out quickly, then they need to find another way. But I'm sure Robert Saleh will be able to scheme it up. And I'm sure that Shane Steichen will scheme it up too, having more time to practice in a full week with Phillip Rivers. But I came away thinking that maybe the Colts could be an issue the last few weeks of the season here. But ultimately, if I had to say right now, I would assume they're going to lose to the 49ers. We'll see what happens when they play the Jacksonville Jaguars the last week of the season. The Texans, we'll see what Phillip Rivers is able to do on that defense.
Yeah,
I have a hard time believing they're going to be putting up much points. Anything else you want to bring up there for that, Steven?
Well, you say no pass rush. Just watch out for Cleveland Ferrell. Just watch out. He always had his best games against Phillip Rivers for whatever reason when he was with the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, they have guys. It's just they're not
making play after play.
No,
there's going to be a couple of them each game where you're like, God damn, Bryce Huff is really talented, but that only happens once or twice a game. You're not getting it like consistently where he's wrecking it. Like Bryce Huff's a very good edge rusher. And there's been times where it's just like, God damn, the bend that he has getting around the edge. But even Okuwanu, like you mentioned him, and I know they haven't had Huff, right? Have they
Bryce
had him
Huff?
recently?
Yeah.
They have had him
back.
recently. Well, he hasn't really shown up lately.
Yeah.
And it's been Cleveland Ferrell for the most part. So yeah, that's really all I had to add was just watch out for Ferrell to keep it going because he always did against Rivers when he was a Raider.
As far as I think the Patrick Mahomes injury is significant, but as far as with the Chiefs being eliminated from the playoffs, that's not anything that's going to bite them in the ass right now.
Yeah.
The biggest injury over the weekend was Micah Parsons tearing his ACL, and that Packers Broncos game was fun to watch. I thought initially that it was a back and forth affair. I thought that Josh Jacobs was running hard. He had that amazing touchdown grab over Dre Greenlaw and then that touchdown run to put him up 23-14. For the most part, Bo Nix was able to get out of pressure from Parsons. And I usually disagree with Ryan Clark, but I do think he's accurate, where Micah Parsons was exerting so much effort in trying to get him that's probably what led to his ACL tear. The misdirection and how twitchy he is as an athlete, that he was going one way and his knee went the other way, and that just gave out on him. The ramifications of that, I think, are significant because I was thinking the Packers were going to be this team. I thought it during preseason when they made this huge trade that they were going to be Super Bowl contenders, and then they got a ton of injuries as the year progressed on the offensive line. the Jaden Reed injury, the Tucker Kraft injury. And then for the last couple of weeks, they figured something out where Parsons had, 2.5 sacks on the Detroit Lions. They shut that offense down for the most part, or held them to 24 points, which is pretty good day.
Yeah.
Then last week, finding a way to beat the Chicago Bears. And I'm not saying that the Packers would have won this game had Micah Parsons stayed healthy, because Bo Nix was able to just be. I think it's Bo Nix's best game as a pro, where he was able to, elude defenders and just rifle that ball and throw 4 touchdown passes. So give kudos to the Denver Broncos. But without Micah Parsons now, I think they're screwed. To compare to the 49ers, it's much better to lose Nick Bosa week 3 than lose Micah Parsons week 15, because you had a whole season now to figure out how to play without him. And they've survived. They're 10-4 on the season. With the Packers, you got to find a way to get this right by Saturday against the Chicago Bears, and that's going to be tough. And honestly, their defense has been really solid, but without him, I don't know, the pass rush is just not the same. We saw it a year ago. Rashawn Gary's a good, support player, or number 2 to a star pass rusher. Lucas Van Ness hasn't been consistent. These guys are able to eat because Micah Parsons fills up so many gaps, and their secondary is not great. They benefited from having this great pass rush, and they're not a good run defense either. We've seen the last few weeks they gave up a lot of rushing yards to the Bears and the Panthers a couple weeks ago. So injuries just bit them in the ass. I thought that Jordan Love was turning it on, Toyotathon and all his stats in December. They got Christian Watson back, but he got hurt in this game. Sounds like he'll come back in a couple weeks, or he may miss this game, but come back pretty soon here. But Jordan Love is still getting sacked. You saw it multiple times where the Broncos were able to get to him. Yeah. If the Packers can't get to the quarterback, then I don't think they have much of a chance. So I think they're still going to be a playoff team, but the Parsons injury is so bad for the rest of the season, not to mention next season, where they had high hopes for this guy. Obviously, they gave him a big-time contract and traded away 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, and I don't know if he's going to be back for 2026. Not to mention Matt LaFleur is in a contract year. He's under contract for next season, but he's a great coach, but he definitely needed to show this new president of football operations it's Carmen Policy's son that they're going in a new direction. I think it's going to be the same stuff where it's probably an early playoff exit.
Whew, that was a lot.
Yeah, I know.
You get on tangents when it comes to the Packers, man. You're all over them this year.
They're my team, apparently.
God, you're a fan.
Yeah,
you've always been a Packers fan.
Yeah. It all changed when Brett Favre had that game against the Raiders.
I will say that Parsons has been really underwhelming in the past with the playoffs. He has with the Cowboys, and that was how Cowboys fans like Mr. Guru himself were trying to talk themselves into how the trade was a good thing for Dallas. Which I hear, but it does feel like a death blow to the Packers.
Yeah.
Like they made this trade specifically for this moment where they're fighting for the top of the division, hopefully fighting for the top of the conference. And Micah Parsons was going to be the thing that changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that all came to an end against the Broncos. Packers could win. Sure. It's not to say they won't, even though death blow probably is a very strong term in saying that they won't, but very, very, very high chance that they're just not going to make it anywhere past the divisional round if they actually end up making the postseason.
I think they made the playoffs. I just don't think that's going to go very far. I think that we'll see what happens this weekend when they play the Bears, but I think it's a tall ask from here on out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sucked. It sucked to watch that, especially after what we just saw with the Chiefs, even though I know it's the Chiefs, but you don't ever want to see anybody go down like that.
Well, honestly, I mean, I know Niners fans, there's a lot of data to back this up too, where why is my team more injured than anybody else? And that is true, but a lot of players are getting ACL tears. And it wasn't the case in the 90s, the 2000s. People tore their ACL, but it wasn't at this rate. And I think we have to look at Thursday night games, Friday night games, Saturday games, just the quick
No.
turnarounds. No, I mean there is something to this, and I don't think it's. I think a lot is made of field conditions with MetLife, and I'm not gonna say anything like I don't know what's up with Denver Stadium, but I do think players are asked to do a hell of a lot more than what they were doing in the '90s, and that's why we're seeing so many injuries.
Yeah, agreed.
So
Agreed.
devastating, and yeah, at the same time, like give kudos to the Denver Broncos because they got a huge win. Was it 11 in a row now? They're probably gonna get the number 1 seed, and they're gonna be your AFC West champions, and they might be a force to reckon with for the foreseeable future when it comes to the AFC West, because with the Chiefs now, I don't know what to make of their situation because I thought that they would put up a fight the last remaining weeks of the season.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's disappointing that they're eliminated altogether. And I know that some people are like, well, fuck the Chiefs. I can't stand them. I get it, but I kind of want to see them lose. Like finally a team gets over them. I want to see the Bills finally be that team, and there's still time for that. But now Josh Allen has to wait, I think, 2 more years to face off against Patrick Mahomes again. And in this game, like, they had an early lead, and, you know, give kudos to the Chargers, man. Like, they play really good defense, and Justin Herbert is one of the more sack quarterbacks on the football right now. I think it was 49 sacks, and he doesn't have his 2 tackles. But they still find ways to win. And they're going to be a team to deal with in the AFC West. And I thought it was kind of fitting where the day that the Chiefs die for the next 2 years, it's at the hands of Justin Herbert and the Chargers. And this game against the Broncos is not going to be the same on Christmas Day. That's going to be hard to watch. But yeah, with Patrick Mahomes, I mean, great. But before the ACL tear, great interception by the linebacker. I think his name's Harrion along the sideline there to preserve the lead for the Chargers, and then Gardner Minshew came in at the end there and just threw a terrible interception to Derwin James. But the ACL tear at the end of the game for Patrick Mahomes, I mean, look, I don't wish injuries on anybody. I know that Mahomes has been the villain of the league for most fans, but that's hard to watch. And I'm sure the league is just throwing up over this because he's their moneymaker. Don't get it twisted. Like, we all move on from stars, but when they're still playing, it's hard to stomach. Like the year that Tom Brady went down, we still could watch Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger and all these other great quarterbacks. But it's going to be interesting to see like an entire season where we know Patrick Mahomes most likely won't be out there. And he could say all he wants that he's planning on coming back week 1. Highly doubtful in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see these last 3 weeks. Is Travis Kelce just going to do a goodbye tour? I would think so. And yeah, like the Chiefs don't even know how to handle being eliminated from the playoffs. You see Chris Jones where he was like, well, we still got a lot to fight for. Oh, we eliminated? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Like it's just weird to them.
Foreign. It's foreign.
Exactly. So I wonder how they're gonna deal with the offseason. Is it gonna be where they just draft a quarterback in a later round and kind of do like a sabbatical like the Warriors did, the 15-win season where let's just take a year off, guys, and then we'll retool and build around Patrick Mahomes. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the Chiefs operate now, where the juggernauts of the NFL just, not only were they eliminated, they got eliminated for, in my opinion, the next 2 years.
I don't think so. I think they're going to be right back in it next year.
Really? Even without Mahomes?
They'll have Mahomes.
At what point, though?
Maybe not opening day, but I think it'll be early. I think it'll be early in the season, much earlier than Otis Bird is saying here, November or December. I don't think so. I think it's going to be October at the latest. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think he'll be back. The Chiefs are just too good. They've really, I don't know if it's going to be 2 years without them in the postseason. Maybe it's because that whole Tom Brady fact is, kind of clouding my judgment, where him and Mahomes on similar trajectories in their career, winning 3 Super Bowls in the first 9 years, both go down with a torn ACL in that 9th season. And then Brady comes back and does what he does. He goes on to win 4 more. I think they'd be better off without Travis Kelce nowadays. He's just totally regressed, and I don't really know like where his value is other than being just a guy who can improvise with Mahomes out there and understands Mahomes as well as any other receiver on the team. But I think he'll be back next year, and I don't know. I don't want to count the Chiefs out just because of this little blip that they've had on the radar here.
Well, you may be onto something because not to compare it to another player because everybody's different, but Carson Wentz, I think, tore his ACL with the Eagles same week of the season, and he came back, I think it was week 3 or week 4 that following year. So it could be a quick turnaround. I don't know. I never know with recovery times for ACLs. Adrian Peterson tore his ACL like week 16 and came back week 1 and was better than ever. So who's to say? But it was significant to see the Chiefs eliminated. And then simultaneously, Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for the Buffalo Bills now? Can they capitalize on this without the Chiefs being around? And, God, that game was electric between the Bills and Patriots where Patriots were up 21-0. I looked like they were going to roll the Bills. You're like, damn, can Sean McDermott deal with Mike Vrabel in his own division now? It's one thing where Josh Allen and the Bills can't get over the Chiefs. Can they get over the Patriots now in their own division? And they fought hard. They were able to the second half. I mean, they were down 24-7 at halftime, and then outscored the Patriots 28-7 in the second half. And I never thought that with Josh Allen, he is the MVP in my opinion. Like, guys are having better seasons, Matthew Stafford, Drake May, but the Bills' success is predicated on him and their running game. So as I've been telling you, like, I don't think their passing game's incredible, but it's just because Josh Allen's that freaking good. So they were able to run the football. The Patriots didn't have Milton Williams and Robert Spillane, but that to me, like, the Bills' ability to be resilient in the second half was how they won this game, just putting up points and not getting stopped by the Patriots. Interesting decision at the end of the game when it was a 4th and 5, and Mike Vrabel wanted to go with it with all his timeouts. I get it, like, probably in his mind, it's, can you stop the Bills if you turn the ball over on 4th down? Can you hold them to a field goal and it's 38-31? You still have to score a touchdown to win the game. I get his rationale, but it ultimately lost you the game. So I don't know. I still think you could have punted that situation, but can you still stop Josh Allen? Your defense had done it all day, so that was a difference in the second half to me. But I think you come away thinking that the Bills are still that team that can make noise in the playoffs. Probably won't win the AFC East, but can they challenge an inexperienced Patriot team or a Denver Bronco team? And do the Patriots learn from this as well? Does this make them better where a win would have been fantastic, but at the same time, does losing a game after 11 straight victories kind of refocus your energy and be like, okay, this is what we need to do better against this Buffalo Bills team?
Right. I mean, it was a tale of two halves, right? Because their only score came off of a long-ass Travion Henderson touchdown anyway.
Which was pretty impressive, yeah.
Yeah. Quick aside, just fun game. Just a really fun game. I was going to text you like around halftime. With Drake May, I don't know if there's like a trait where he's better than any other quarterback in the NFL at this one specific thing, but it feels like he's top 3 in like everything.
Yeah.
If you're talking about accuracy, arm, decision-making, plays with the legs, athleticism, I guess is the way you put it. Everything. Like, he's just such a balanced quarterback, and he doesn't really put the ball in harm's way too much. But then there's Josh Allen, and this is why, like, it's really hard to get a gauge on the Bills, because I think that they'd be in the same boat as the 49ers where they're only going to go as far as their offense takes them.
Agreed.
But led by an MVP, how far can that offense go? Can they put up 35 points in a playoff game against a playoff-like defense that's been pretty damn good this year? And also their defense made plays. Like, towards the end of the game, there was a couple of straight drives where I think there was one where Drake May just had no chance because the offensive line was all over him, and they were forced to punt, and the Bills just really could have put the game away had they not gone 3 and out themselves. So I'm still in that boat, even with this playoff, even with this win that is kind of like a playoff game. But there's just something about the Bills, man, where God, especially without Mahomes there, without Burrow there, it just feels like Josh Allen knows. Even going up like against a guy like Lamar Jackson last year, there had to be a hint of, well, Lamar's pretty damn good. There's got to be a hint of that. Whereas Josh Allen's thinking in the AFC right now, look, I'm the man. Bo Nix, what, the Broncos defense? Okay. What, Drake May and the New England No. What are you going to throw at me? Nothing. And that's where I'm thinking, man, the Bills might actually go far here.
Yeah, it's just gonna be interesting to see where they are as far as a wild card team or the division winners. And if this was a different season and the Patriots or the Chiefs were out and the Bengals were out, I think the Bills, easily go to the Super Bowl. But it's different now. I came away with a lot more respect for the Broncos and the Patriots this weekend, but I still believe the Bills are that team because of Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in football, hands down to me. And he's been that way for a while, where Mahomes has a ton of talent, and he's the most celebrated quarterback and has all the Super Bowls. But Josh Allen is just on a different level, in my opinion, as far as just like physically gifted. So I think he sees an opportunity here, but it's going to be difficult in itself where he has to go on the road to face the Patriots or to face the Broncos. And I agree with you, Steven. It's the same situation the Bills are in as the 49ers, where it's going to be their offense. Where Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, but Josh Allen's a generational quarterback. Well, he could probably carry them a lot more than what Brock Purdy can. So I think the Bills prove to me that they can go into a New England or a Denver and win those games. But the defense needs to play a hell of a lot better. Yeah. And there was times in the second half, as you said, Matt Milano getting sacks and Tre'Davious White. They have good pass rushers. They do. They have Joey Bosa. They have Gregory Rousseau and AJ Epinesa. They may get Ed Oliver back before the playoffs, so that would be a big lift for them. So I have more faith in the Bills in the AFC. Yeah. But I definitely came away thinking that the Broncos and the Patriots could be a pain in the ass for them as well.
Sure, but there's a very real chance that the Bills don't even see the Patriots in the playoffs. Like the way that it's playing out right now, and we'll do the season if the season ended today game. But let's just say if the season ended today, obviously the Broncos would get the first round bye. So you'd have the Patriots and Texans in the 2 and 7 seed, Jaguars versus Bills in the 3 and 6, and the Steelers Chargers in the 4 and 5. Now, winners of Patriots Texans doesn't matter because whichever team wins that game, they're going to take on the Broncos. Or is it the lowest seeded team that takes on the Broncos in the next round? It would be the lowest seeded team. Let's just say the Texans beat the Patriots, right? Let's just say the Texans beat the Patriots, and the Bills end up beating the Jags. Then what? It's the Bills versus the Chargers or the Steelers. Like, I'd be feeling pretty damn good about that. And then you'd meet the winner of the Broncos and the Texans later on in the AFC Championship. It does feel like this is a much easier path to a Lombardi compared to years past. And you saw a lot of it on like the national talk shows where it was, is this Josh Allen's time? Well, it might be.
Yeah.
It might just be.
And then lastly, the Rams, they had a shootout with the Detroit Lions, and that was kind of expected where I think both offenses are the best in football. Puka Nacua is unguardable for the Rams, and their ability to run the football with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. Matthew Stafford overcame that early mistake where he threw that interception to Aiden Hutchinson, but it was just a freakish play. They were down in that game, came back. Devontae Adams hurt his hamstring. We'll see what his status is for Thursday against the Seahawks, but it just showed to me that the Rams are vulnerable in their secondary, but they're still a good defense. Like, you're just playing a really good offense. Like we were talking about earlier, 2019 for the 49ers, where they won that game against the Saints 48-46. Sometimes good defense are just going to face good offenses. And it shows me that the Rams can, survive a shootout like that. So I came away thinking that the Rams are still that same team. We'll see about this Thursday. And the Lions, they have a really good offense. Their defense is dreadful right now. Minus Aiden Hutchinson. He's fantastic, but they just don't have enough of the secondary and pass rush. So that might have done them in. And I think that the Lions are a very entertaining team to watch. So it's going to be unfortunate if they miss the postseason. But yeah, I still say the Rams are the best offense in the NFC West. The Seahawks have the best defense, and the 49ers have the best coaching staff. And I still believe the Rams will ultimately end up with the 1 seed and win that division.
I think that's how it will play out. My question for the Rams, though, is will that pass rush look like it did last year, where they're playing the Eagles and Jared Verse, it felt like, had their number, and Jared Verse was kind of the star. Well, he hasn't been that great this year. I mean, he's been okay. He's putting up better numbers than he did last season. He's got 6 sacks compared to like 4.5 that he put up last year.
Yeah.
But had you not looked at them, last season's playoffs, he would come off as a game wrecker because he was.
Yeah.
So can they get back to that game wrecker status? In that case, I am putting them as the top in the division, and yeah, probably the top seed in the conference. And that's also because of Matthew Stafford. I actually disagree with you. I think Matthew Stafford's playing at a higher level than Josh Allen right now. I think Stafford's just like Allen. The talent's undeniable, and the way that he's able to use his legs is just only half of what makes him great. But God, Stafford's just playing at such a high level, and he's not turning it over very much. Obviously, he had that really bad game. I'm already forgetting who it was against. Panthers, where he threw a couple of interceptions in a row and all that. But he's just playing out of his mind. And I think he did the same against the Lions. And it's just nothing. If he gets some protection, there's not much that phases him. And it feels like he's 2 steps ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I'll just say that Matthew Stafford deserves to be MVP this year. No doubt. Like, he's having the best quarterback season.
Yeah.
But to me, like, the best quarterback in football is Josh Allen. With what he just does to that team, he just makes them that much better. And that's it for as far as like games of interest to me that happened this past weekend. I know the Ravens shut out the Bengals. Bengals are done. We'll see what the Ravens do against the Steelers for that division. Steelers dominated the Dolphins last night. We'll see what happens with Tua. I think Mike McDaniel's safe, but we could see Tua maybe them moving on from Tua.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just sent it to you in the DMs, Steven. Could you play this clip of Aaron Rodgers? Did you see this by chance?
I didn't see the actual clip. I saw it posted around though.
So this is Aaron Rodgers last night. He gives credit to all the cast-offs. They picked up a lot of wide receivers in the last few weeks, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Adam Thielen. So he gives credits to the cast-offs for the win last night.
So it's kind of what I said after the game. There's some cast-offs if you look at our roster, which makes it really special. Kenny Gainwell signed a next to nothing contract. Connor Hayward, an afterthought, had a touchdown run. Marquez been on a couple teams. Adam Thielen got cut. Samuel was on the street for a long time. So it says a lot about the character of the guys we brought in.
Do you consider yourself one of those cast-offs too?
No, I'm not a cast-off. So,
okay,
Lord.
That's pretty much, Aaron Rodgers to a T, where he wants to be one of the guys, give credit to the cast-offs, but then when it comes to him, his ego is like, no, I'm not a cast-off. And you could make the argument he was a cast-off. The Jets said goodbye to him. He's on the same boat as a Kenneth Gainwell, and like I know he's saying like all the criticisms that people have thrown those players, but I mean, Kenneth Gainwell signed a next to nothing contract. Connor Hayward was an afterthought. It's like, and then they get to Aaron Rodgers, and he's like, "No, I'm not a cast off." It's like, dude, you have to come across so arrogant in that press conference.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers arrogant? You wouldn't say.
That was him to a T. And like, what if Kenneth Gainwell talked about Aaron Rodgers being like, "Oh, the guy that signed a next to nothing contract with the Steelers for $19 million? Yeah, he's a cast off too. He'd be pissed off about that." So, yeah, that pretty much epitomizes Aaron Rodgers, where he wants to be one of the guys, and he is. He's embracing that way with his teammates, but at the same time, it's like, don't let me in with those cast offs.
Yeah. But you know what? whatever. If I was in my 40s and I'd accomplished what he'd accomplished, I'd probably be having that same type of arrogance too. So more power to him. I just can't help but picture that photo in Malibu that he was really pissed off about, where he was just draped in a
Yeah.
towel and he's overwatching the beach. It reminds me of Castaway. It's like he's a literal cast off.
Great movie. Maybe my favorite Tom Hanks movie.
Really?
Now The Burbs is good too. I do
It's
love
be-
The Burbs.
It's between Castaway and The Burbs.
Well, what else would you have in there?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump's good. It's not my favorite Tom Hanks movie. What about Catch Me If You
Philadelphia.
Can? Haven't seen Philadelphia in quite some time.
The Terminal.
Haven't seen The Terminal. That Thing You Do. It's not bad.
Oh, it's Big.
Big's
a
good.
one.
Big's good.
Big's a good one. but
Road to Perdition, where he's a badass.
Green Mile.
Green Mile's good. Yeah. Apollo
Mhm.
13.
League of
There's a
Their
lot-
Own.
There's a lot of good ones, Stephen, but you know me. I like to be hipster when it comes to my movies. So I always say Tom Hanks and Castaway is my favorite.
Yeah, just on two completely opposite ends of the spectrum too. The
Castaway and The Burbs.
The Burbs and Castaway. Burbs when he was just an up and coming funny guy in the world of Hollywood, and then Castaway where he does that thing that a lot of actors do when they get older. Is they just say, "Hey, I don't really want to work with anybody, so I'm just gonna do this movie on my own," where it's just pure grit.
Yeah, but I'd also say that was pretty impressive where he's just yelling at a volleyball for most of the screen time.
Yeah, agreed.
And-
That's when some of the actors do their best work.
Yeah.
Hell, Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, before your milkshake thing, he spent the entire hour just digging a trench for oil.
Well, he also got mad when people brought up his deaf son.
Correct.
That movie's hilarious, by the way.
It's not hilarious.
It is hilarious. That scene where he's mad because a guy he was doing business with is across the room from him. And he's jealous, and the guy's like, "So, Daniel, how's your deaf son?" "Excuse me? Yeah, how's your deaf son?" "I'll come in the middle of the night and slit your throat." It's like, Jesus, I just asked about your son. Daniel Day-Lewis is. I know some people don't think that's a comedy. I do. I just think he's just a fucking freak in that movie. It makes me laugh. Anyway, anything else, Steven?
What, from the NFL weekend?
No, just anything else you want to talk about.
Spielberg got that new movie coming out.
That's true. What's it
Called
called? Disclosure Day?
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
interesting.
June of 2026. I'm in. And another thing is the Rob Reiner death was just hard to take.
Yeah.
And all the details that were surfacing, it's just the slow rollout of it. It was just so agonizing, not knowing who did it and then knowing who did it and why their son did it. It was just, I mean, just terrible, with him and his wife both dying this last weekend. And it's like, and then the fallout from it, where somehow everyone has to make everything political. And now we're doing the same
Yeah.
kind of thing that we did with Charlie Kirk, where one side's calling out the other because, the other side feels like, they have to call out his political beliefs if you're going to attach him to this death, blah, 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 blah. Though some are more, it's almost become like it's a whole partisan thing, which it shouldn't be. Like a guy just, one of those beloved figures in pop culture ended up getting killed by his son along with his wife.
Yeah.
And we're still making that political. It's just
Yeah.
very heavy.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up at the end where we're there now. But Rob Reiner getting murdered, it was shocking on Sunday night. And at first when you hear the reports that someone died at Rob Reiner's house, and then you find out it's him, it's like, well, what the hell happened? He's got stab wounds, and you find out that it, allegedly was his son. That's awful. And his son has been dealing with a lot of stuff. Whole thing with a outburst at Conan O'Brien's holiday party. Bill Hader's involved. All the details are sad. But just to talk about Rob Reiner for a second, like Carl Reiner, his father is a comedy legend, part of so many sitcoms in American television history. Made The Jerk, one of my favorite movies of all time. And as far as Rob Reiner, sitcom star as well, being on All in the Family as Meathead. And then just a great director, made Spinal Tap, A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally. Hilarious guy too, in movies, playing bit parts in recent years. He was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, a whole thing with Groat's disease. It was a funny whole thing where a fan wanted to meet Larry. His character in Wolf of Wall Street is all time, where he plays Jordan Belfort's dad, DiCaprio's dad.
Yeah.
And EJ Entertainment? What the hell is EJ Entertainment? And when he's like answering the phone and he has like this weird British accent, "Hello, Gene, how are you?"
Yeah.
Rob Reiner is hilarious at Wolf of Wall Street. And I would encourage anyone to go listen to Kevin Pollak, great comedian. He was in A Few Good Men, and he was on the Rich Eisen show years ago. He tells great stories about that whole set and filming that movie. And he brings up Rob Reiner was the type of director to give notes, like tell you like, yeah, that was good, Jack Nicholson, but you should do it like this. And many actors like Demi Moore and Tom Cruise are like, ooh, you don't do that to Jack Nicholson. You don't tell him how to do it. So there was one day where Rob Reiner was telling him how to do the "you can't handle the truth" scene. And Jack Nicholson is just sitting there and is like listening to him. And then at the very end, like Rob's like, "That's how you should do it, Jack." And Jack's like, "Well, how can I top that, Robbie?" Like, it's just, Rob Reiner is a great director, comedy legend. It's terrible what happened to him.
You'd be hard pressed to find a better 5-movie stretch by a director like in a row. There's some that
Princess Bride, forgot about that too.
We're not even gonna like, not even going down to this is Spinal Tap, but Stand By Me, which is just one of the great coming of age movies. The Princess Bride, which is one of the great fantasy movies combined with a little bit of comedy. When Harry Met Sally, one of the great rom-coms of all time. Misery. Personally, I haven't watched it because I just don't want to watch James Caan's ankle getting smashed by a sledgehammer into a wood block by Kathy Bates. But apparently it's really, really good. Maybe I should watch it. But ever since seeing that scene one time on AMC where it was like top 100 horror scenes of all time, and that was one of them, I'm like, nope. And then A Few Good Men, though. Like, you're going to be hard pressed to find a more, not like, just better in terms of better movies, but in terms of them being the greatest in one of the greats in that specific genre of film, and to do it with 5 different formats all in a row, just remarkable.
And to your point, Stephen, like, he was very outspoken about politics, but that didn't need to be the focus this week. I know a lot of Republicans came out and, James Woods, Rob Schneider, everybody, that are affiliated with that party, talk glowingly about Rob Reiner as a director. And that's what made, it's easy to do Jackass of the Week with Donald Trump, so let's just do that, where his statement was vile, absolutely vile. Like, I don't care which side of the spectrum you're on when it comes to politics. You cannot gloat or make fun of a man getting his throat slashed. That is just awful, absolutely awful. And nothing will change. People will still, nothing's going to happen to him in office. But I was glad to see so many people on his side speak out against him this week, saying that was just a disgusting statement. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. It would be hypocritical not to. It'd be hypocritical not to. And that's the leader of the free world right now.
Yeah.
And that is, we're less than a year in. We're less than a year. We've already forgot about when he blamed those, I don't even want to get into it, those airline disasters that were happening early on in his presidential tenure. And he's blaming all of that on DEI, even though DEI had nothing to do with it. It started there, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And again, we are less than a year into this, and who knows what else he'll say, because he'll find some other celebrity death where it's someone who he probably mingled with when he was at one point a celebrity. Yeah. That's all he was, a celebrity. And now he's just going to keep doing what he's doing. No one's stopping him. It sucks.
Yeah. And it was just hard to see. Like I saw photos of Billy Crystal and Larry David going to the house after the crime scene. So awful. Rest in peace to Rob Reiner, and also it was just a tough weekend. Rest in peace to the people that were killed in the Brown University shooting. That was awful.
Yep.
And also what happened in Australia on Sunday night was just tough to watch as a Jewish man. 15 people killed at the first night of Hanukkah. Just awful.
Mhm.
Absolutely awful. So rest in peace to all the people that were killed in just thoughtless acts of violence. Terrible. There's no easy transition here. So, Steven, who you taking in Thursday night football between the Rams and Seahawks? God.
It's a great transition, Derek.
I couldn't think of any other way to do it.
There's no other way to do it. Who I'm going to take right
Rams
now?
Sorry, do you need me to give you the details, or you got it pulled up?
Nah, give him the details, man. You got him.
All right, Rams are favored by 1.5 points, over under 44.
I had 43.5 right here, so how about that?
Oh,
I'm going to 44. It's right in the middle there. It's too scary for me to take the under, so I'm going to take the over in that one. And since the Rams, it felt like kind of sparked this Sam Darnold regression, I'm going to take the Rams and lay the points with them.
all righty. I am going to go with the Seahawks. And the Seahawks win this game. I think it's just as simple as the Rams got them the first time. And now they're home on a short week without Devontae Adams. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win this game. I'm going to go under on the 44.5 or the 44 as well. So Seahawks win, and things get interesting with the NFC West for the 49ers. If they win out in that situation, they will be the 1 seed. I believe, they would be the 1 seed.
These playoffs are going to be fascinating, man.
They are going to be fascinating. 100%. All right, everybody, we are going to be off this weekend. So we will, I guess we could post our picks for week 16 in the NFL. We'll do like a little grid or whatever.
Mhm.
And we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll react to the Colts and 49ers. To everybody in the chat tonight, thanks to Rocco New Era. Thanks to AJ Cruz. Thanks to Otis Bird. Thanks to the Skills Report. Thanks to... I already said Otis Bird. Thanks to Ernie One. Thanks to Pat H. Thanks to Mac Van earlier. And I believe that is it. Everybody, we'll see you next Tuesday. Steven, say what you always say.
Oh, it's just our opinion, man.
Couldn't think of anything. All right.